Joe Johnson, the man in front's the pastor of the Mountain View Christian Church, and they're building a new church up here in the Greensprings. They're actually putting the second wall up right now. The congregation's grown from just a handful of members to 60 in the last couple years. So this is Jeannie Randall. Her parents own the Boxar Ranch here. And Jeannie, tell us a little about the Boxar Ranch, if you would.
Okay. Well, our family's owned the Boxar Ranch since 1969. So we've been long-term residents of the Greensprings and really feel very grateful to be able to have a beautiful place like this in our family, and to be able to share it with the number of people that we do every single year.
What kind of things go on up here?
Well, we have lots that actually goes on. Many people don't realize we probably have 7,000 or 8,000 people a year that come through the Boxar Ranch for different events and different things that we do. But we are a working guest ranch. We have cattle that we operate here at the ranch. We have guest houses. We have 4 guest houses that people could rent year-round. And that could be families or groups or corporations or churches or, just a variety of, anybody's welcome to come and stay at the ranch. We also have a camp called the Outback that operates May through September of every year. And that is used primarily by school groups and church groups. Right now we even have a hospice camp that's out there from Klamath Falls that have been here all week and having a great experience for kids who've had some really severe losses in their life and having a great time. And then we have our Great Western Hall, which we can host all kinds of events there. So that might be weddings or big gatherings of different kinds, and we do full catering. And
Is that the building behind us?
no, that's our office and museum.
Oh, okay.
But the ranch is a historic ranch. It's on the Applegate Trail, and so since the mid-1800s, settlers have been coming through here, just passing right by through here, and use the big meadow here as one of their encampments along the trail. The house right here is the old stagecoach stop along the trail, and that was built in 1904.
And is that where your family lives now, or?
Well, my parents did live there for a number of years, but now that's one of our guest houses.
Okay.
So anyway, we spend a lot of time just really appreciating guests who come and hoping that they'll enjoy the beauty of the environment. All that God has made here we think is pretty spectacular, and we like to share that with people. And then just for them to reconnect with their families. We host lots of family reunions every year. We have quite an extensive collection of Old West and Indian artifacts that we just like to emphasize the history that's here. We do wagon rides and sleigh rides and horseback riding, and but mainly when people come, it's kind of a low-key thing. We kind of like the high-tech to kind of stay at the gate, outside the gate, and just to kind of reconnect with life as it might have been several years ago.
So this is Don Roulet, the Boxar Ranch here, and he has a Measure 37 claim on the ranch. Don, what do you think about Measure 37 and Measure 49?
Well, I think the governor has double-crossed all the people in Oregon with his proposal to put Measure 49 on a ballot to take the place of what the people voted for and approved twice. And we're just at total odds on understanding how he could propose to change a law that the people have put into effect twice. So really the issue today is Measure 49, not 37, because if 49 gets voted on and approved, all 37 claims go away. So it's in total limbo, and we don't know where we're at, but we know that it looks like that the facts from Measure 49 would indicate that everyone that has a claim would have to start all over in the process.
Do you think that's fair? Should the government be able to tell people what they do with their own property?
You know it's not fair. Why are you even asking that question?
I want to know what you think about it.
Property rights are property rights, and when an individual purchases a piece of property, believing that they can do something with that piece of property, and then the government steps in and says, no, you can't. You can't do that. Your rights are violated, and so therefore your property loses its value, and sometimes it has no value because of the restrictions that are placed on it.
This is Ira Crezo. He's the chef here at the Pinehurst Inn. He and his wife Suzanne have been managing the inn for the past 2 years. They're going to be leaving soon to pursue other options. Maybe in Portland, perhaps still something here in the valley. Ira, tell me about what you've been doing here at the Pinehurst Inn the past couple of years.
Right. Suzanne and I have been here 2.5 years. We've opened a fine dining restaurant. We did it a bit different style than other restaurants. We've had a 4-course dinner menu, so there's just one price in accordance with the main course. That includes an appetizer, soup or salad, the main course of your choice, and dessert. So there's always a steak, seafood, rack of lamb, poultry, and vegetarian option. So we have a lot of fun with that, change it around every week just to keep everything fresh. And then we also have a 5-room bed and breakfast to allow people to stay the night, and then we have a nice wedding site down by the creek for doing the ceremonies down there, then the reception back up here in the lobby.
And you cook everything from scratch. Tell me about that.
Everything we do here, we do basically without compromise and make it from scratch. So we have our homemade croissants, we make the puff pastry dough and everything else from scratch with that. We have all our breads we bake fresh for every meal. We have pasta on the menu occasionally. We roll our pastas out, and you name it, desserts, nothing comes in a can or frozen pretty much.
So there's been a lot of change happening recently up in the Greensprings. What do you think of some of that change?
Well, one of the changes is our own business here. We're going to be leaving in about a month. We'll close a couple weeks before a week or two before the end of September. And our reason for leaving, it's just too slow in the winters to keep up the lease or to exercise the option to buy Pinehurst. So we're going to pursue other options. We're hoping to stay here in the local area, but we might be headed up to Portland. Everything else, and Pinehurst Inn and Greensprings Inn have been very much a community hub for the Greensprings area. So it's sad that both restaurants are actually going to be closed at the same time, but the good part is that about a year ago the Hyatt Lake Resort opened up, and they do a nice job. They have a neat little cafe over the lake over there, so there still is a good community place, but the community is very much lamenting the closing of the other 2 restaurants here.
Will you miss the Greensprings if you end up leaving the area?
Oh yeah, couldn't ask for a more beautiful country than this, very friendly neighbors and everything else. And that's how life goes. When it's time to move on, it's time to move on. There's no use getting too overworked about it. So,
Thanks, Ira.
my pleasure.
This is Joe Johnson. He's the pastor at the Mountain View Christian Church up here in the Greensprings. Joe, your congregation has been growing since you've taken over. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just it's a God thing. There's no other way of saying it, because it hasn't been me. It's been the people, and it's been learning how to love the way that Christ loved, and putting our hand out to each other and just lifting each other up, and just tearing down some walls as we're building some new ones for this church. And it's phenomenal what God's doing up here, and everything.
Here's the new church that they're building. Been a lot of change happening up in the Greensprings recently. What do you think of that change?
Well, some of it's good, and some of it's I don't think is so good.
What's been good? What's been not so good?
Well, there's a lot of things going on with the different herd districts and the monument and road closures and things. It seems like a lot of our freedoms are being taken away from. The good thing is Hyatt Lake and the Boxar and those places are still growing. I hated to see the Greensprings Inn close. Hopefully it'll be opened up again someday, and Pinehurst is going through some changes. I mean, there's just a lot of things up here, and we just got to kind of go with the flow and stand behind the people.